Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
I am Maddie Grace Webben.
And I am Francesco JRPGT Nasso.
Heck yes, Francesco is back this week.
Yay! And we're doing part 2 of Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney,
Case 4.
Case 4, Turnabout Goodbyes. I kept wanting to say the word samurai in, like, every single, like, Phoenix Samurai, Samurai.
They're all samurai.
I don't know why.
Phoenix Wright is sort of like a samurai.
Yeah.
He's a samurai of justice. Well,
of
a
justice.
samurai of legal justice.
Legal justice, yeah. Which is not necessarily the same as actual justice.
Yeah, well, I'm saying that I guess a lot of samurai could be samurai of justice, including actual samurai.
That's true, yes.
Yes, but they don't necessarily go through the legal system.
Samurai justice of the beast.
Yeah, I'm excited to wrap this damn thing up. How's everybody doing this week?
It's fine. Nothing really to report, honestly. Yeah.
We're all back to work, huh?
Yeah. I need a vacation from my vacation. And I need another vacation from work.
And you'll need a vacation from that vacation as well, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I am back to work, but only barely. As a tutor, my work kind of trickles in at the beginning of the semester. I got my latest. I don't normally talk about my detailed financial situation, of course, but I got my paycheck for over the break, and it was $350. That's a 2-week paycheck.
No,
that sounds terrible, but I expected that, right? You always expect that over the break, right? Because nobody wants to have a lesson at over Christmas holidays. So I got that, and I was like, yeah, that's what I expected. So the next one will be back to being bigger. Yeah, but I did enjoy my very, very lengthy break. Since last week, my break continued. Obviously, I was in Austin, but I did not get to see Sam or Eli. Sorry, y'all.
It's okay.
It turns out that being on vacation can be busy sometimes, especially when you don't have your own car. So it's like, yeah, I got to see a lot of my friends, but also a good number of friends I didn't get to see. So sorry to anybody who was in Austin and didn't get to see me the one time I was in Austin. My bad. But then I got back home and I had like a whole nother day of vacation. I didn't work on Thursday either. So then I got to hang out with my California friends, and it was really, really nice. Honestly, I'm super rested.
Oh, so it seems like you planned it pretty well to come back and be rested and just in good shape.
It's the longest vacation I've taken in a very long time. Just ask my dog. I haven't been away from my dog for this many days since my wedding. So he was probably apparently after day 4, he started really acting out, and my roommate told me that, and I was like, that makes sense, because 4 days was the longest vacation I had last time. So after day 4, he was probably just like, where the fuck is she? But yeah, it was great. Francesco, though, we haven't heard anything about your life because you weren't here last week. So how was your whole break? Or if you even got a break, how was your holiday season?
Yeah, no, it was good. I did get a break. I went to go visit some cousins. It was nice. We kind of celebrated the holiday together. One downside, though, was I was in a very remote place where internet apparently is not a thing. And so I was like, for like 4 or 5 days, I was on a little like one of those like mobile hotspots that really didn't work. And I think was like capped at maybe like, I don't know, like less than a gigabyte of total data. So it was a little bit rough for 4 days. But it was great. We went with family and saw the new Star Wars movie again. Ended up playing, a ton of games too. Played a little bit of Bloodstain and went through all of Shovel Knight, which was great.
Hell yeah. We talked a little bit about it 2 weeks ago. How did the King Knight campaign stack up?
Oh, it was actually, so when I first started playing it, I was a little bit worried because it didn't feel as good as some of the other ones. And like the card campaign that they have in it felt kind of jarring, like compared to like the rest of the platforming. but I think by like maybe an hour or two in, like everything started to click together, and I just really, really enjoyed it. It ended up being one of my more favorite campaigns, probably my favorite of the, 4 or 5 campaigns that there are to do.
Hell yeah, that's really good to hear.
Just because there was like so much content, and then like once you break the card system, it's really, really fun.
It's like Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah, it's exactly like Final Fantasy VIII. What's the name of that card game in Final Fantasy VIII?
Triple Triad.
Yeah,
Triple Triad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in Final Fantasy 14. I hate it. I'm so bad at it.
Yeah, it reminds me too of like the dot hack card games too, where it's like everything becomes super, super broken, and you start wondering why all of the characters have cards named after them. So overall, good experience.
Hell yeah. Anything else to report?
No, that's it. I'm back to work, so
hell yeah, let's
just getting used to that.
Also, one more thing. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. Fun life news for me yesterday. I have booked plane tickets to go and visit my girlfriend, which is really exciting.
Yay!
Congrats.
It's fun because I miss her a lot. I'd give her a shout out, but I don't think she listens to this. But yeah, so we are gonna.
That's okay. I don't listen to it either.
We are gonna have to make plans for that because that's gonna be in around the weekend of Valentine's Day. So I'll have to make plans as far as podcast goes, but. I'm just excited. I'm just a big sucker, and I'm a big emotional baby, and I love my girlfriend, and I'm excited about that. So, cool. We got a lot to cover today. Remember how we were thinking that this might be a short week because it's just one day of play time?
Nope.
Yeah. The plot twists keep coming, and they don't stop coming. So, let's get the fuck started. Where we last left our heroes, our hero, Phoenix Wright, he had basically pretty much already proven that Miles Edgeworth isn't guilty. He gave a pretty darn solid, very circumstantial, but a pretty darn solid conjectural case for why the boatman was in fact the killer, and not in fact Miles Edgeworth. He gave a lot of evidence to prove that Miles Edgeworth could not have done it, and a little bit of evidence, plus conjecture, to prove that the boatman did do it. Then the boatman ran away. So, everyone's like, damn, maybe he did do it. So anyway, we're starting the investigation for the final day of the trial. Maya is worried that maybe also we've learned that there's this whole thing with this case in the past. So, Maya expresses worry that maybe Edgeworth killed his own dad. But Nick is like super convinced that he would never do it. Like weirdly convinced, right? Nick seems to know Edgeworth very well, or at least he thinks he does. He has complete faith, right? Larry shows up and thinks he did a great job and is desperate for validation, which you can either give him or not. Larry suggests that Edgeworth himself seem edgy. And even though both of them believe Edgeworth didn't commit the murder, he may still have been hiding something. Maya is fed up and finally asks the question we've all been wondering. Nick, why the heck do you trust Edgeworth so much? He's been an asshole this whole time. What's your history? So Phoenix finally shares the entire story. He says, okay, fine, I'm going to tell the story of how Miles Edgeworth and Larry Butt saved me in 4th grade. One funny bit is that Larry Butts right there is like, what are you talking about? He forgot. So, flashback time. I'm going to blow through this really quick. It's important, but also we got a lot to cover. So, it's 4th grade. In 4th grade, they all had to buy their lunches. It was a small school. And they bought their lunch apparently like 1 month at a time. So one day, a kid's lunch money, an entire month of lunch money, $38, because it was back in the day, I guess. Actually, that makes sense, because lunch was like $1.50 when I was in school. So, anyway, a kid's entire month of lunch money disappears, and they thought that Nick did it. We get a bunch of really cute pics of baby Nick, who is the cutest. Huh? Oh,
you cut out for a little while, so it was like, I'll just say something.
Oh, sorry. I was just explaining what happened. Anyway, baby Nick looks really cute. He has the same hair. And they actually set up a courtroom in the classroom, like with benches on both sides, and they're all heckling him. You did it. But then, objection! Turns out it's baby Miles Edgeworth. He is the cutest kid in the whole world. He has.
I want to play the Phoenix Wright baby.
I know, right? So Miles looks the same. He also is dressed like he's that one kid who wore like a suit to school. Except when that kid did that, we always made fun of them, and usually it was because they were like asshole like. Usually if a kid wears a suit to school, they're like a fucking Draco Malfoy motherfucker, right?
Which, I mean, Miles Edgeworth,
True. But in this case, he's being a very, very good boy, so he's awesome.
Yes, that's true.
Turns out that it was Miles Edgeworth's money that was stolen, but even though he's literally the victim of the case, he says, there's no evidence, y'all gotta stop ganging up on little Phoenix Wright. And then Larry Butts also sticks up for him. At this point, Nick learned what it felt like to be all alone in the world. Miles, remember if you recall, Miles Edgeworth's dad was a defense attorney, and he adored his dad and wanted to be a defense attorney just like him. So that's why he's being a little defense attorney even in fourth grade. But then a few months...
It's super cute.
It's so cute. But then a few months later, the DL6 incident happened, and Miles Edgeworth transferred away. A few years later, Nick heard about this new demon attorney who, had never lost a case and would do anything to win a case. And he saw that it was Miles Edgeworth, and he was shocked. He said, this isn't the Miles Edgeworth he knew. The Miles Edgeworth that he knew wanted to be a defense attorney, not a prosecutor. So then Nick became a defense attorney just to meet Miles Edgeworth. They are gay, and they are in love.
Yeah, I mean... How can you not say that they are together when Phoenix went to such great lengths? He went to law school. He is drowning in student loan debt.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like he said that he tried calling him. He tried calling him, he tried messaging him, but he didn't respond because he's like, this is my old friend, So he became a defense attorney just that one day he would have to meet Miles Edgeworth in court. And then talk to him. But then he says that the reason is because he cares about him. He and nobody else can tell that Miles Edgeworth is all alone in the world. He is in pain.
Gay!
Yeah.
Gay!
It's gay. It's really gay.
It's so gay, and I love it.
Miles is all alone in the world. He's in pain, and he has no one on his side. So Nick wants to help him. Nick wants to save him, basically. I fucking love this backstory.
Me too.
It's so much, but in the world of the universe, it somehow works. There's so much big anime emotions underneath this story.
I mean, everything in this game is really exaggerated and really, it's cartoony. It's very cartoony, but, in a way that's also kind of realistic. These are, they all have great personalities. They all have very real personalities. Which is fantastic.
Yeah, going to be a defense attorney is an exaggeration, but feeling like your old friend has gone down the wrong path and wanting to help him, that's very real.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it rules. So now it's time to investigate. Gumshoe's on our side for once, because he's convinced the boat shop owner did it, just like you are.
Now we're truly his pal.
Yeah, we're actually his pal this time. Grossberg shows up at the boat shop for some reason. A funny thing happens here. Everyone seems pretty convinced that Nick's case is solid. They're like, you did a great job yesterday. Your explanation made perfect sense. We feel like Edgy's going to be fine. The only one who isn't sure about this is Nick. Nick is worried about something. Basically, he's like, this seems like it's too easy. I've got a bad feeling about this. Also, I'm totally realizing we totally should have done the investigation last week. and just done the trial this week, because then we could have had better predictions. But that's okay.
Whatever.
Yeah, it kind of think works out better though to just go in a little bit more blind and not have that investigation sequence.
That's true. So anyway, so we go into the house, we're in the hut, and the bird just straight up gives us the safe password. That was easy. One thing I found out about this game is anytime something seems like it's too easy, it always is. There's always something else going on. So the bird just gives up and gives us a safe password. It's 1228. You open up the safe, and it's got a handwritten letter in it. The handwritten letter literally says, "Get your revenge on Miles Edgeworth. Now is your last chance. Now is your time to get revenge on the two men who ruined your life." Then the letter goes on to describe the entire murder plan, which is beat for beat exactly what Nick deduced yesterday in court. Which is a lot. So first of all, Nick was right. Everything he said was right. Edgy didn't do it. However, what else does this mean? This means that the killer was following instructions. Whose instructions is he following? Also, why revenge? Revenge for what, right? I mean, if the boat person really is the person that we both guessed he was last week, us, the players, guessed he was last week, he got revenge on a kid who was in an elevator with him and a lawyer who exonerated him of murder. How is that revenge, right? It's weird. Anyway, then we go and we talk with Edgy. Extremely hilarious bit. He also does not remember the class trial. This is like a formative experience for Nick, and the other two people involved were like, I think I remember that. Maybe, kind of? Whatever. It was just another day for me.
Yeah.
So this really important moment no one remembers but him.
Which, like, honestly, is also real. Right?
So, real quick, Ken just, like, showed up right outside my door and started, like, yelling excitedly that something was working.
I heard that. Do you want to go see what it is?
No, I think I know what it is. I think it's like some sort of air blower or something.
Did his
but he was just
did his pod racer that he built himself finally work?
Yes.
That way he can go and beat Sebulba?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so feel free to either cut that out or leave it in and leave in this weird commentary.
I think we should just leave it in. I think it was fun.
Yeah, can we actually like boost the sound a little bit?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's
in fact,
Ken,
let's
everybody.
make a remix of it. Yeah, that's Tuxedo Kevin.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. So anyway, so then we go and we interrogate Edgeworth. You learn a little bit more. You find out about his backstory. So you learn more about the past, the story, right, that we already talked about last time. He was in an elevator, and his dad shockingly died. And then there was an implication that I now realize we all made too obvious. But yeah, we, the players, have figured out Miles Edgeworth may have murdered his own dad. So anyway, he started to hate defense attorneys because Roger, what's the guy's name? God damn it. The victim in the case, Roger Hammond.
Oh, Robert Hammond.
Robert Hammond. So because Robert Hammond got Yogi Berra declared innocent, even though he totally did it, that's what caused Edgeworth to start to hate defense attorneys. Obviously, that makes sense. He's like, defense attorneys got the killer of my dad off the hook, right? So that's what made him...
I couldn't tell if you said Yogi Berra or Yogi Bear.
I went with Yogi Berra this time around.
Yeah, it's... I think they went with the baseball player as the
I did. I went with the baseball player this time around.
Okay.
So anyway...
I was going to make a picnic baskets joke.
Next time.
Then I realized.
Next time. So Von Karma... but you also find out that Von Karma, not Hector Von Karma, but whatever, Von Karma, the current prosecutor, is his mentor, Edward's mentor, and trained him, and he respects the fuck out of him, and is like, yeah, he's unbeatable. We're not going to win. Then Edgeworth finally decides to share the nightmare he told us about last time. He says, I've been having this nightmare for the last 15 years. It's about the night, it's about the day the elevator went out. Even though I actually lost my memory of it because of the asphyxiation, in this nightmare, I remember more. And I don't know if it's real or not, but I'm worried it's real. In the nightmare, here's what happens. Yogi Bear tries to kill Miles Edgeworth's father, Because Miles' Edgeworth's father was like using up all the air, and he's like, just going crazy, like, I'm gonna kill you so that you can't use up all the air so I don't die, right? Because they're in a elevator and they're suffocating. But then Edgeworth just saw a gun nearby, like he just saw a gun lying in front of him, probably Yogi's gun because he's a bailiff. So he grabbed the gun and he threw it. He threw it at Yogi, just like, stop hurting my dad. And then he heard a gunshot and he passes out, implying that he accidentally shot his dad. Hence, now we see why Yogi might want revenge. Because, well, no, I still don't see why he would want revenge. Well, actually, I do, because if he's the one who really shot his dad, then getting put on trial for murder really messes up your life, even if you didn't do it.
Yeah,
even if
you're declared innocent,
yeah.
like you can.
Yeah, and we'll find out later that's exactly the case. But at this point, they don't tell you that. So then it says this was his last. But then you think, wait a second. This is actually my own thought. Sorry, this is my own thought. The letter said, this is your last chance one of the characters says this was his last chance to get revenge with the statute of limitations so close. Now that doesn't make sense if you think about it. This person just wants revenge on someone who fucks up his life. The statute of limitations doesn't matter. Why would it matter? He could do it a week later. It is not, like, he wants revenge for that murder, but the revenge he's doing is unrelated to the murder, right? So that's very interesting, and of course we'll find out later why it matters. Anyway, speeding through a little bit, Greg Edgeworth always hated Von Karma. That's Miles' dad, because Von Karma was just like Miles. He would always do faulty evidence and stuff, and he always tried to beat him to discredit his methods, but he never succeeded. And then oh, right, and then we learn again about the story where, this is one of my favorite parts, we learn more about the story about how they used a spirit medium, Mia Fey's mom, to contact the ghost of Greg Edgeworth, and he said, the one who shot me was the bailiff. This is so fucking good. At this point we realize the ghost lied. Yeah. The inciting incident that ruined all of this, like we talked about how it's really stupid that legal defense attorneys would turn to someone as hacky and supernatural as a medium, how they shouldn't have done that. Turns out the medium didn't do anything wrong. The ghost lied because he wanted to protect his son from getting from a murder charge, which I think is so cool. That's like tragic, Imagine you die and you don't want your son to, he's a fucking kid. Like, imagine if you accidentally killed your dad. That'd be so sad. Anyway, sorry, less of my own editorializing. We got enough to talk about. Sorry. So Grossberg recognizes the handwriting on the note. It's Von Karma. What the fuck? So then we realize that what's going to happen is that his plan all along has been to find Miles Edgeworth guilty, not of this murder, but of the previous murder. It's all a grudge he has against Greg Edgeworth, because Greg Edgeworth once accused him of fraud during a trial. He still lost the trial. Greg Edgeworth lost the trial, but he put a mark on Von Karma's record, and it's the only penalty he's ever gotten on his record on the entire career. In fact, it messed him up so much, he was so upset about this, that afterward he went on vacation for like 3 months. And the guy never went on a vacation his entire career, but like he was clearly so upset that he just disappeared for like 3 months. Yeah. At this point, Nick is somehow convinced that Miles Edgeworth did not kill his dad. He's the only one who is. Everybody else is like, no, yes, he did. It's very cut and dry. It's kind of sad, but it's true. And Nick's like, no, he didn't. I believe in my client. I believe he didn't kill him. So he goes to the police station to look at the police files for DL6. Von Karma is in the records room, and the DL6 file is empty. And Nick says, if you hated Greg so much, why the heck would you mentor his son? At this point, Von Karma, this is one of my favorite parts, Von Karma just admits writing the letter. He says, yep, I wrote the letter. And this was all my plan, and I'm trying to set up Miles Edgeworth, and I'm trying to set up, I set up Miles Edgeworth, and I set up, I killed, Greg Hammond, and I did all of this to get revenge against Miles's dad, who, even though he's already dead, because he ruined my perfect record. I'm a jerk. And you're like, wow, you just admitted all that, huh? And then he whips out a stun gun, and he stuns both of you and steals the letter, which was your only evidence about any of this. Right before he does this, Maya jumps in front of you to save you. Doesn't really work, but she tries. And then she has a crisis of conscience, and she's like, I'm worthless. I couldn't save you. You get knocked out with the stun gun, and then you wake up and the letter's gone. She says, I couldn't save you. I couldn't save anybody. I can't even summon my sister. I suck. And you're like, oh, no you don't, honey, but it doesn't really work. Then she says, wait, what's this? Turns out when she jumped at Von Karma to save you, she did do one thing. Somehow, I don't know how this happened, but maybe she knocked it loose, or maybe he fled in a haste. Turns out he left one clue. The bullet from DL6. The bullet that was in Greg Edgeworth's heart, which killed him. That's it. So we're going to trial. And we have one clue and basically nothing else. And that's it. Good news. Gumshoe captured Yogi, so he's here now. That's nice. Turns out he was out all night because he's a good boy.
Yes.
So our first goal is to get Yogi to remember his past. We obviously know he does remember his past. Why else would he want revenge? But we have to get him to admit that he remembers his past. This is a little bit of a mini boss. It's not super duper important, so I'll go through most of it. He says he ran away because he had to feed his bird. And that he's like, I wasn't running away. I just had to go feed my bird. I figured I had nothing to do with the case. So, that's it. I got lost in the woods. Basically, Phoenix Wright just badgers the bejesus out of Yogi. He doesn't have any evidence. He just keeps badgering him, saying, you remember it, you remember it, you remember it.
Did he get lost in the woods like Ben or Jerry Horn?
Oh my fucking god. I love that shit. He's very much a Jerry Horn figure. Anyway,
he kind of looks like him.
Anyway, the judge finally asks, Nick, why do you keep saying he remembers who he is? Why does this matter? Nick finally admits it. Look, this guy has his memory. He did the murder. He knows who he is. He is Yami Yugi. This proves that he has a motive. And the judge is like, Yami Yugi? And you're like, yeah, the guy from DL6. And the judge is like, whoa!
Yanni Laurel.
Nice.
Thank you.
So at this point, the judge is like, okay, that would be a very big deal if he was that guy. You don't have any proof, but I understand why you're trying to prove this. That's important. One quick note, this whole time, Yogi and Von Karma are really relaxed. They're very chill. They're not scared. They're not worried, which of course is unsettling. So Phoenix, it's very easy. The reason Phoenix has been so confident this whole time is that he's like, it's easy, man. Just check his fingerprints. If you look at the fingerprints from the DL6 incident, you'll see that the fingerprints match Yami Yugi's fingerprints. This proves that this random guy actually was the guy from DL6. That doesn't literally prove he has his memory, but it proves that he's important, and that proves that he obviously had a motive. And if he didn't remember, and if he has a motive, he must have remembered his motive. Thus, he has his memory back. It's a pretty good argument, actually. If you can prove these are the same guy, then you're incidentally also proving he has his memory, because otherwise he wouldn't do anything. Anyway, the witness has no fingerprints. This is the dumbest fucking ass pull.
It really is.
Turns out that the witness worked at a chemical plant for a long time, and it burned off his fingerprints. Obviously, Phoenix is just as shocked by this stupid twist as we are, because it's easy. Fingerprint the guy, case is done, right? It doesn't work. So then you're screwed. You can't do anything. You can't prove shit. At one point, Von Karma jokes, "Haha, I've got you. You can't get out of this. Lol, you're so lost. Maybe you should just cross-examine the parrot." And Nick is like, "Fuck you. I will cross-examine the goddamn parrot." So you cross-examine the parrot.
I kind of knew that this was coming.
Yeah.
Like,
Totally.
As soon as the parrot came in, I was like, they're gonna fucking put that parrot on the witness stand.
They put the parrot
Here we fucking are!
They put the parrot on the fucking witness stand. This time, nobody sniped the parrot to death like in Twin Peaks.
Fucking Leo Johnson, god damn it.
So the parrot gets on the stand, and he's supposed to testify. And what happens is, like always, like Francesco mentioned a few weeks ago, there's always a bit with them not telling their name. So the judge is like, "Parrot, what's your name? Who parrot are you?" And the parrot just goes, "Hello, hello." And the judge goes, "Well, that's the shortest testimony we've ever had." So then you have to do the whole interrogation thing, but all it is the parrot going, "Hello, hello."
A lot of material to work with there.
Yeah, you press the parrot. You're like, "Parrot, you can't just say hello, goddammit." Then you ask Maya to talk to the parrot, because earlier the parrot was being reactive to Maya, and you can tell her 3 things. Turns out all 3 things are very important. The first thing that makes the most sense is asking him, "Have we forgotten something?" Because last time, when Maya said the phrase, "Have we forgotten something?" the parrot said, "Right, don't forget the DL6 incident," which, that would solve it right then. Easy peasy. Maya asks that, and the parrot just says, ... and you're like, "Are you kidding me?" And Von Karma gets a mischievous grin on his face, and Phoenix Wright is like, "Oh my god, Von Karma retrained this goddamn bird to not say anything when we asked that. You motherfucker, how can you be so extremely evil?"
My thought originally
dedication
was
right there.
He swapped out the parrot.
That would have been smarter.
Yeah, that would have been the bright idea. No, you just spend 7 or 8 hours retraining the parrot.
Yep.
Go for authenticity there.
So anyway, it turns out the other 2 options both give you half of an evidence. Both of the other 2 options give you really weak evidence, but if you combine 2 weak evidences, that's better, right? So the first thing is, and this one was really smart. I figured this one out 5 seconds. When I figured this one out myself, I was like, "Holy shit!" What you do is you ask Paulie, "What's the safe number?" And he goes, "Right, it's 1228." And did y'all figure this out easily? Because I felt smart.
So 1228 was the vault code. Oh, it was the day the DL6 incident took place, wasn't it?
Maybe that's obvious to everybody else, but I felt like I was really smart when I figured that out. I was like,
yeah, I didn't get it until that point.
Oh yeah, totally. Me either. The game had to prompt me, but yeah, that's also the date that it is currently in the game, by the way, because it's exactly 15 years. So anyway, he says the case is 1228. You show that the DL6 case is on December 28th, and the judge is like, "Oh shit, that's a pretty big coincidence that the vault code happened to be the date." Oftentimes, people name use important dates as their passwords. But he's like, "That's not still the best evidence." So then you ask the other question. You ask the bird, "What's your name?" And he says, "My name's Polly." Now, I love this because Polly is such the most stereotypical name for a parrot ever that there's no reason that would ever be relevant. Except that Yami Yogi's wife's name was Polly. Obviously, if the parrot's name was Suzette, you'd be like, "Wow, that's weird," right? But since it's Polly, you're thinking it's Polly because it's a bird, right? Nope. Turns out the most stereotypical possible name for a parrot was, in fact, the name of his wife. The judge is actually a good judge for once. He says, "Wow, 2 coincidences at the same time, that's more like a pattern than a coincidence." So I think that you figured it out. So the judge says, "Yami Yugi, stop lying. I know now that you are lying. You have not admitted your murder. You have not lost your memory. You are Yami Yugi." And the judge says this. He gets kind of angry for once. And at this point, Yugi admits it. He says he all of a sudden stops having his goofy face on. He has his serious face on. And he says this. He says, "I've been acting like a goofball for 15 years in order to hide my identity. Turns out I am Yami Yugi all along. I don't care anymore because I already got what I wanted. And the judge is like, what are you talking about? So here's what he says. And this is very thematic, too. I love this. Roger Hammond got him off, right? But as Grossberg said earlier, I didn't say this earlier, but I'll recap it. Grossberg said, the thing about Roger Hammond is he didn't believe in his clients. He didn't defend them for their own sake. He didn't care about his clients. He only defended them for his sake, for the sake of his career. So Roger Hammond wanted to...
He didn't love his Pokemon. It
really is the same thing. I hadn't thought about that, but it's so true. It's like Pokemon morals, right? So Roger Hammond made Yami... He actually did think that Yugi did the murder, but he wanted to get him off as his defense attorney, so he wanted to go with the insanity case. So he made Yami Yugi pretend like he had brain damage, which got Yami Yugi declared innocent, but it ruined his life in so many ways. His fiancée committed suicide. He lost his job. He had to act like he had brain damage for 15 years. So that really sucks. Roger Hammond is a bad defense attorney. So that explains the motive against both this kid who caused this problem and against the defense attorney who ruined his life because he was defending him in a selfish manner. So he admits to getting the letter with the entire plan. He says, yep, one day I got a letter telling me to do all this stuff. I didn't even care who sent it. I did it. I have no regrets. I already got my revenge. So I don't even care if I go to jail. Like, I got my revenge murder. Fine. I fucking did it. Von Karma is really chill. He's like, yep, it's true. I lost. And you're like, why are you so chill? And the judge says, well, that was easy. I now declare you not guilty. And it says not guilty. But then, objection. I'm typing in all caps here on my notes, by the way. Objection. Edgeworth did an objection himself. The action music plays. Edgeworth objects to his own innocence. God, he's so fucking cool. I love him. Jesus Christ. He's going to confess to the murder of his own father. You have to object to him. So Phoenix Wright objects to Edgeworth, saying, objection, the verdict was already passed, you're not guilty. But then Von Karma objects to your objection, saying, no, that's totally valid because the same thing happened yesterday. The judge said guilty, but then at the last second, Larry Butts ran in, and we undid it. So same thing's happening now, it's valid. Here's the thing, Edgeworth could have just not said anything at all, but he's a good person who believes in justice. He's a prosecutor, so it's not like all prosecutors are bad. He really thinks he did it. He really thinks he did it, so he has to pursue justice. God, he is so hot. So that's what happens there. So now the judge is like, well, motherfucker, this is the last day of the statute of limitations, so I guess Edgeworth is going on trial for murdering his dad 15 years ago. Cool, let's have a recess. Did I miss anything here? I don't think so. That's basically it. Oh, also, they reveal this in a second, but it becomes very clear here that Von Karma knew this was going to happen the entire time. This was his entire fucking plan. He knew Edgeworth was going to confess. So they're all talking about how he did it and how it sucks. They're like, this sucks. I can't believe he did it. I can't believe he's going to go to jail for murdering his dad. And then Maya says, Nick, what are you doing? And Nick says, oh, I'm just looking through my court files, preparing my case because he didn't do it. Phoenix Wright believes in his client no matter what because he is such a good boy. To recap, we know Von Karma wrote the letter. We know this entire thing was set up by Von Karma as revenge against Greg Edgeworth for ruining his record. He planned this, even the part that just happened. So the real fight is defeating him now, getting Edgy acquitted, even though he definitely fucking did it. But if Phoenix Wright doesn't think he did it, then I guess we the player also think he didn't do it.
Because we are Phoenix Wright.
What did y'all think at this point? Did y'all think he didn't... Did y'all have any idea what was going to happen at this point?
I honestly had no idea. Like, I felt like it could go any number of ways, and I really couldn't figure out if it was or wasn't Edgeworth.
What about you, Francesco? I know you played this game for a long time ago, but what do you think?
Yeah, no, I totally thought Edgeworth did it. But it was one of those things where it's like a locked room puzzle. Like, there's no possible... Like, you have all the people who could possibly have done it, and it's like, well, we know it's not that guy. We know it's not that guy. So by process of elimination, it has to be like the little kid.
Yep. And they also say at this point that suicide was not an option, by the way. They already said that because of ballistics or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. And were there any actual dangling missing pieces suggesting that he didn't do it? I'm trying to think. Let me think. Oh, right. There was. There is. So it's not just an asshole. Phoenix does not just believe with no proof. There is, in fact, something that Phoenix knows that we, the player, are not smart enough to know. But, like, there is a piece of evidence that already has been said in this fucking case. That is why Phoenix knows Edgeworth doesn't do it. And that's really cool. He doesn't just have blind faith. He has a reason why he believes. But, and if a player is smart enough, they could figure it out. But none of us figured it out because this game is smarter than we are. So let's figure out what it is. So Miles goes up and testifies. Again, he's testifying to a murder that he does in fact think that he did. So we're having to argue with the person who we think is innocent about whether or not they did it. So he says just what we all already know. He says Yogi and Greg were arguing. Oh, I guess there is still one little issue here. Jack, stop that. Hold on. Jack, stop that. There is still one issue. There is still one issue, actually, which I did notice, which is that, one, this is actually all Miles Edgeworth's dream. He literally just dreamed that this happened. We don't actually know it from memory. The second thing...
I will say, in his defense, I have insanely vivid dreams to the point where I once woke up from a dream and went and asked my mom if my uncle was still alive.
Wow, damn.
Because in my dream, he had died.
Yeah, and I've had dreams like that too, for sure.
Yeah, there's some vivid dreams. Also, too, I think, like, from what I remember, they sort of present it as it could be, like, a repressed memory.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, and the other issue is, I actually was far enough to think about this. The idea that Edgeworth didn't actually see his dad dying. We'll see that in just a second. So anyway, here's what happens. Yogi and Greg are arguing. Miles sees a gun. He says, quote, something heavy fell at my feet. The idea that something fell at his feet was suspicious to me. Like, did someone else drop a gun into the elevator? Turns out that's not what it is. But that's what I thought at the time. Then he threw the gun, and then there was a gunshot. And then he heard a scream, and then he blacked out. We also, upon cross-examination, find out that day was the day that Greg gave Von Karma a black mark on his record. Von Karma was the prosecutor that day. So that story we heard about how Von Karma only ever had one mark on his record, and it was because of Greg Edgeworth, happened like 5 minutes earlier. So that's it.
Gee, I wonder what motive there was.
Yep. So at this point, I was not smart enough to figure this out. I had to think about it for fucking ages and click on all my items. But this is the thing that we could have known if we were smarter. This is the thing that Phoenix knew that we didn't remember. There were 2 shots. There wasn't one shot. It's right there in the case file. That was already a plot point last week. The fact that there were 2 shots, which is the coolest part of all. Like, it wasn't just a hidden evidence. Like, it was something we'd already discussed, except that yesterday was a long time ago because this game's long, so we didn't realize the donut hole had a little hole inside of it. So yeah, that's it. There were 2 shots. Miles Edgeworth only heard 1 shot. He heard 1 shot and blacked out. Therefore, the second shot killed his dad. And Phoenix does his like smug, like, aha, I'm so smart face, right? But then you gotta prove that both shots were in the elevator. This is a little dumb. Von Karma's like, the second shot could have been like at any point, you know, like there were 2 empty bullets in the barrel, empty chambers in the gun. Like he could have shot it earlier that day or the previous day, right? So you show a picture where, and again, this is there all along. You show a picture of the crime scene of the elevator where the window to the elevator has a fucking bullet shot in it. And you're like, there it is. 1 bullet in the heart, 1 bullet in the, 1 bullet out the window. But then Greg Von Karma says, not a single clue was found at the scene. It says that in the case file, not a single, so he uses the case file again. He says, not a single clue was found at the scene. If there was a second bullet, they would have found it. Something else must have made the bullet hole. Maybe the bullet hole was made prior, you know? We have no records about like if the elevator was damaged by a bullet shot at some point in time. Could have happened anytime.
Yeah, there was also an earthquake that particular day.
Well, true, but it is very clearly a bullet hole, not like a earthquake shatter hole.
Yeah, but like you don't know like what the state like. I think it's more from the sense of like no one investigated whether or not that was there before.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
The state of like the courtroom afterwards was in kind of disarray from earthquakes happening.
No, that's true.
So,
that's very true. So anyway, it turns out that photo was Nick's confidence. The reason Nick was so confident this whole time was because of that photo. That photo that proved, from his point of view, that there were two shots. And all along Nick was saying the first shot went out the door. The second shot was what killed Edgeworth. But now that he's lost this thing that was source of his confidence, he actually loses his faith. He's like, fuck, I don't know what to do. I've lost. I guess he really did do it. I don't know. But then, just for the very briefest time, Mia Fey shows up. She shows up in a flash. It's not like Maya actually like grows boobs and stuff. It's just like you see these little flashes of Mia Fey where she gives you these little bitty hints, right? And she says, you know, what if the bullet was removed from the crime scene? And you're like, and Nick says that. He says, what if the bullet was removed from the crime scene by the killer? And the judge is like, what? You're reaching, dude. Why would the killer remove the bullet? Like, that wouldn't even make sense. You know, like, there's obviously two shots. Like, what's the point of taking a bullet? And then, again, this was way over my head. I wasn't being smart at all. But the game was being smart. Mia Fey says something. She says, think differently, Nick. Don't think about why the killer would take it. Think about why it had to be taken. And to me, that didn't make any sense. What about y'all? Did y'all figure this part out?
I think I struggled with this part.
Yeah, I don't remember what the gameplay is, like what you actually have to click here. I actually don't remember. But at least as far as like my brain goes, like as far as my brain, I don't think I definitely didn't figure it out.
Yeah, I got something close, but not exactly.
I mean, the actual fact is, I think, so bizarre that you would never have thought of it. Nick says, here's what Nick says. He says, darn it. Wait, hold on. Where is it? Oh, yeah. Nick says the killer had to take it, which is to say he didn't take it on purpose. He took it on accident because the bullet was inside of him. So basically he says the killer got shot with the first bullet. That's why the bullet was on the crime scene, because obviously if you're the killer and you leave the crime scene and the bullet's inside of you, you're removing the bullet from the crime scene. That's why it happened. And everyone's like, what? And this is where Nick says, fuck it, baby, like, fuck it, Joker, Baby Yoda, right? He's just like, fuck it, Von Karma's the killer. Shocking the entire courtroom, of course. What? Von Karma's the killer? He goes, yep, Von Karma had a murder. Von Karma was outside the elevator. The bullet shot Von Karma from outside the elevator. Then he went into the elevator, committed murder, and fucking left. Von Karma says, ha ha ha, you cannot prove such a thing. Phoenix Wright says, there's a bunch of back and forth here. I don't remember, actually. Funny enough, this is the part where I was so invested that I forgot to take a couple of these notes. Right, the vacation. That's the main point. So he says, what proof do you have? And he goes, you went on the only vacation of your entire life immediately after this event for 3 months. You don't take vacations. Maybe you didn't take a vacation because you were upset about getting a mark on your record. Maybe you went on a vacation because you were injured, because you'd been shot in the shoulder.
Yeah.
And then he says, fine, go look it up. Look up doctor records. You won't find a single record of anybody having performed an operation on me to remove a bullet from my shoulder. At which point, Phoenix says, wait a second. If he didn't get surgery to remove the bullet, and he couldn't remove the bullet himself, hey, you know there is one last item in my inventory that I haven't used yet. The fucking metal detector.
So, in U.S. courts, you have to go through a metal detector to get into the courthouse in the first place.
well.
So, like, what the fuck? How did they not discover this about Von Karma?
Maybe this is a world where, 9/11 didn't happen and we're not so extremely terrified about danger at any given second, and we don't have metal detectors in every public facility. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. But yeah, so you whip out... No, maybe he has a pacemaker, and he's like, oh, that's my pacemaker, right?
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, you're like, I will grab this metal detector right the fuck now, put it up to your shoulder, and it's gonna fucking beep. And he's like, this is a violation of privacy, don't you dare. And the judge is like, dude, saying that not letting us do it is basically like proving you have something to hide, which, again, doesn't usually fly, actually. But whatever.
Yeah.
So at this point, you're actually being a prosecutor, which I find hilarious. So anyway, and then he's like, fine, there is a bullet in my shoulder. It's unrelated. I got shot doing something different. Has nothing to do with this. You haven't proved anything. At which case you say, no, fuck you. I do have one piece of evidence. It's the bullet, the other bullet from the case. There's ballistic markings on this bullet. We've already talked about how that's a thing you can do. The ballistic markings, we're going to apparently get someone to cut that bullet out of you right now. And we're going to check the ballistic markings, and they're going to match, and it's going to prove that you're the fucking killer. At this point, you win. Von Karma starts to scream because you got him. At this point, he dies the way that, like, a final boss dies. Like, Eli, remember how in Final Fantasy VI, whenever you kill a major boss, the screen, like, flashes white multiple times?
Oh, yeah,
and then the whole screen starts flashing, and then vibrating, and then the enemy starts to vibrate, and then they, like, slowly evaporate from top. Like, that's what happens here. Like, he goes through these, like, elaborate death animations.
Yeah, it's great.
It really does feel like you've defeated the final boss in, like, an RPG. But the coolest part, I love this. This is the coolest part. Von Karma screams because you got him, and immediately Miles recognizes the scream from his dream. He's like, the scream that I heard in my dream after I shot my dad, that wasn't my dad screaming. That was Von Karma screaming. So Von Karma admits it. He says, yep, I fucking did it. I obviously can't admit it anymore. I hate you so much. You suck ass. All I wanted was revenge. Fuck you. And the judge says, wow, that was really unexpected, and declares him guilty.
Woo!
So yeah, you just had to defend someone for murder, and then you had to defend them for a totally unrelated murder, and then it turns out the guy who did that murder was actually the prosecutor of the current murder. And
it all makes perfect sense.
It all makes perfect sense. He'd been planning this for years. And Miles Edgeworth didn't kill his dad all along, so the thing that he's been literally traumatized for the last 15 years didn't actually happen.
Trauma cured.
Trauma over, right? So that's it.
Yeah.
You go back into the lobby and you have your little epilogue. There's a lot of various stuff. They're just talking about how thankful they are to each other. Maya tells Edgeworth, you gotta say thank you, and he says, I'm not very good at saying thank you, but thank you. There's all sorts of cute stuff. If people want to talk about it in their MMs, they can. Larry Butt says, it's over, Nick. My life is over. Just like he always says. You're like, why is your life over? Turns out his girlfriend left him again.
Womp womp.
At this point, Larry Butts is so thankful to everybody for supporting him that he gives Miles Edgeworth something. He gives Miles Edgeworth an envelope with $38 in it. Turns out Larry Butts was the guy who stole the lumps money all along, way back in the day, because when something smells, it's gotta be the Butts. Everyone has a big laugh. It's real dumb. And they all have a good time. They all go out for karaoke, which is being paid for by Gumshoe, because he's so thankful for you saving Edgy, because he's a big fanboy. They all go out to do karaoke. They all get totally wasted. And then for the epilogue of the game, again, this game has another chapter, but it's sort of DLC, so this is the epilogue of the game.
Yeah.
The next morning, Nick wakes up at 5 a.m., and he sees there's a letter. Maya left him a letter. She says she feels useless. She couldn't help. She's going back to training to become a real medium. Nick rushes to the train station and catches her. And you say, hey, you are not worthless. I heard Mia's voice at the end. And also, you were the one who got that bullet. I couldn't have done it without you. Please don't leave. Maya says, I still have to leave. I am not as good of a medium as I should be. I am still going to leave and complete my training. But once I finish my training, I'll come back and I'll be your assistant. And it's really, really sweet. And that's it. The fucking credits roll. And during the credits, we learn a bunch of little details about the characters. Edgy is trying to be a little bit nice. Larry is dating yet another gold digger. You learn other stuff about various characters. All the characters keep saying they haven't heard from Nick in a while. They're like, Phoenix? Oh yeah, that guy who helped me earlier. I don't know, I haven't seen him in a bit. So I don't know what that means. He's up to something. Maybe he's on vacation. Maybe he's gone on a personal journey. Nobody knows. Also, the only other thing I'm going to say is that one of the little epilogue details is that Maya and Penny apparently are now pen pals, which I find really cute.
It is really cute.
Final twist. Executive producer Shinji Mikami, baby! Which I think is really cool. Shinji Mikami, the wonderful director of many Capcom games that are action in nature, executive produced Phoenix Wright, which is cool. Good for him. And then it literally says the end, and it shows the Capcom logo, but then someone goes, hold it, like Phoenix does, and turns out there's another episode.
Yep.
So that's the end. Even though this isn't literally the end of the game, it kind of feels like the end of the game. So, I mean, it is. So what are y'all's memorable moments / just closing thoughts on this wild ride we've been on the last week?
Yeah, I don't really have any specific memorable moments. I really love the whole game. I love the characters. I love how fucking silly it is, while also, like, somehow being realistic to a degree in just, like, how people interact with each other and that sort of thing. Yeah, it's really entertaining. And I mean, if more visual novel kind of games were like this, then I would probably play them more.
Yeah. The writing is just so fucking good. Like, again, congratulations to. Wait, really? He's like my favorite. What's his name? The guy that I love so much, the translator, the localizer.
I don't remember his name. Oh god.
Well, anyway,
Alex O. Smith.
Alexander O. Smith. Yes, thank you to Alexander O. Smith for doing a great damn job. I have a few more moments. Edgeworth's facial expressions when you're interrogating him at the police station, he looks so sad. Like, his I'm sad or I feel guilty or I have trauma face is like, he's baby. And I love him. He's a sweet boy. Second memorable moment, Maya has this really funny bit at the beginning of the trial where, because y'all both got tasered, apparently she must still have, like, static electricity in her because she keeps shocking people. Like, she touches Nick on the shoulder to, like, comfort him, and he's like, ow, shit! And then she shocks him, she shocks Edgeworth, and she shocks, and then later there's, like, you see her shock them. But then later, Gumshoe comes in and is like, oh, I got shocked earlier when Maya said hi to me. Which I find really humorous. And the final one I have is, this is a little bit more deep. To me, this mission, this is going to sound like a weird comparison, but it feels like Dark Souls to me. Or other video games, but Dark Souls is one video game. Like, you know how some video games, you think you know how much video game there is, and then it just keeps, it's not just that it's long, but, like, it keeps getting deeper and deeper when you didn't think there was any more depth. Another example is Zelda Skyward Sword, where you revisit these areas that you thought you'd already finished, and turns out there was way more to it than met the eye originally. That's how the second half of this trial feels like. It's like you're going back into the past, and like you said, like Francesco said, it's a what do you call it? It's a locked door mystery, you know? But then it turns out that there was something outside the door, you know, like this imaginary world of the case keeps growing and growing and growing. And it's like a video game where just as you think you've reached the end of a level, you turn a corner and there's a whole nother area, you know? And just as you think you've gotten to the highest level like RPG level, turns out there's another mechanic you didn't know about. So like the mental space of the world of each case just gets so much bigger and more rich than you thought it was going to be, even halfway through. And that's a really cool feeling. I love it when games do that. Dark Souls is the first thing I thought of, but lots of games do that, and I love it when a game does that. And this does it in a non-literal way, which is cool too. It doesn't do it in a literal, you're going on an adventure way, but in a metaphorical, conceptual way, because you're just in a courtroom the entire time, obviously. And I think it's a beautiful feeling. That's it for me. What about you, Francesco?
Yeah. Nice. Just to add to that before I go into my memorable moments, like they do a really good job of just kind of saying, like, for each case, hey, this is a vase, and it's really important for this one case. Hey, this is a file about another case that's just going to be evidence for this case. And then you get to this, this fourth case, and it's all of a sudden it's like, surprise, all of those things are relevant, and they have impact on this case, and all the stuff that you thought was just important temporarily are actually really, really important to everything that's happening right now.
It's so well constructed, and that's how they trick you, right? Because when a story places a clue, you figure it's going to come back later, but then once it comes back later, you figure you're done with it. But what this game does is, this is a funny metaphor, it's a Chekhov gun, right? And the whole point of a Chekhov gun is you place the Chekhov gun and then you fire it. But in this game, the Chekhov gun gets fired twice. Yeah. Just like the gun in the case gets fired twice. Right.
I see what you
But that's how they surprise you. Things that it's not that you didn't think it was important, it's that you thought it had already been important. So like shit from case 1 shows up in this case. Shit from case 2 shows up in this case. Nothing from case 3 really shows up in this case. Character backstory stuff that you thought was just backstory flavor shows up in this case. Like, all of it ends up being so important in this case. And, it's cool as shit. It's cool as shit. And maybe the only reason they had case 3 in this game as filler was to make you forget about all the shit that was important in case 2. Like to put some buffer in between the placing of the Chekhov gun and the second firing of the Chekhov gun, right? It's masterful shit. Anything else, Francesco?
Some memorable moments. I love the junior court case thing, like the school, lunch money, who did it. And I particularly liked it because it had this really good paradigm of, essentially, it's like the first thing the teacher does is like, oh, you're obviously guilty because you're the only one that could have possibly done it. And it's a nice little, I got this after playing it multiple times, but I think it's supposed to be like almost like a metaphor for the eventual latter part of this case, where it's like, Phoenix is accused because he's the only person who could possibly have done it. Right.
There's no evidence he did it, but who else could have done it?
Right. But who else could have done it? There was only one person who was, in the classroom during the time, or, is like excused from lunch, and that wasn't accounted for. And meanwhile, it was Larry, who was supposed to be on vacation and just came back and, took the money. And then, Phoenix got blamed by proxy, basically.
Yeah. So
it was a nice little allusion. That's a better term for it. Like, a nice little allusion to the real important case, from that.
Yeah, that's
the other thing I loved is the poly interrogation, which was great.
Yes.
mostly because in like a future game, I think like 3 or 4 games after this one, for one of the cases, one of the attorneys, I won't mention which one, has to interview a whale. Like, has to go, like, get testimony from a whale, and they actually reference
That's not
this
one of the
case
ones
in
I've
that.
played. Wow.
Yeah, they actually reference this case in it where they say, well, there's precedent for doing this. We remember how vital, the testimony from the parrot was in, like, all those years ago. And the judge is like, I will allow it. They're like...
Because he's the judge that allows everything.
Yep.
Yeah. But even in this case, it's like, oh yes, animal testimony is we've gotten some cases with this. So we definitely have to see where this goes. And the whale is even worse because it just kind of like, it doesn't even speak. It just kind of makes sounds.
Yeah, it's like,
And
at
then
least
you
a
have to-
parrot can say words.
Yeah. So you have to do like emotional interpretation to figure out like that it was angry at something, and then that leads you down. Like it just takes it to a whole nother level.
Oh my fucking god.
The last thing was there's this one scene where like occasionally Von Comro would just make these like like really narcissistic comments like in between his prosecuting, and there's one where he just like tells his ATM code where he's like, my ATM code is 0001 because I'm the best.
Yeah,
And
that
the judge is
actually
like-
was one of mine. So I have a screenshot of it, so I'll share it word for word. The reason is it's actually not for no reason. It's when you're saying that the code was 1229, which is December
That's it, yeah.
December 28th rather. The judge is like, wow, yeah, that number, and Von Karma's like, no, people can use anything they want for their code. For example, my ATM card's number is 0001 because I'm number one. I love that guy. He's so good.
Such a great scene. But yeah, those are all my memorable moments.
Hell yeah.
Good case overall.
Yeah, so that's the end of this story. That is the climax. But next we have a whole extra little thing that is really exciting. It's going to be a 3-episode long case. Again, that could be 3 slightly short episodes, but 2 would just be way too goddamn much. Also, if you recall, we always have this rule where we do the quote-unquote final boss as its own episode. So kind of the same thing, right? So I'm thinking just end of trial 1, end of trial 2, end of game is how we're going to split it up. That's probably not going to be even because, as we've seen, the final trial always goes really long. But dramatically, I'm sure that'll make the most sense. One thing we could do is we could do end of trial 1 and then investigation, trial 2, and investigation again. For the next episode, and then just do the trial without investigation for the final episode, but we can decide that next week. Yeah, so time to wrap things up. I figure we should probably mention that we have a vote going on, huh, Eli?
Yes.
What are the 2 games that are
voting-
being voted on? Ease, what is
Ease and Star Tropics.
Star Tropics,
That's the
yes.
one.
Ease 1 and 2.
I was gonna say Stardew Valley.
Ease 1 and 2, which are 2 games that actually go together plot-wise and are about as long as one regular game, or Star Tropics 1 and 2, which are 2 games that go together to be about as long as one regular game. They're both very old games. They're both from the 80s, the 8-bit era, although, Ease has been remade and such, and they are both action role-playing games. And they both have really good music and are really fun. I don't think... Have any of us played any of them?
I played
no.
Ease 1 and part of 2.
Okay.
I never actually finished
Okay,
2.
so you weren't here last time. Since you've played Ease 1 and part of 2, give us a quick pitch. Like, why would somebody vote for Ease? Like, what's good about it?
Oh, the battle system is incredibly interesting. So whereas like most RPGs at the time, I think were tactical and you're doing like menu based stuff. In Ease 1, you just bump into stuff. So you literally are just like a guy who's running, and then when you hit into something, it does damage. And it's really, really satisfying, even for an older game. Where you're just like, oh, there's a slime, gotta bump into it. Oh, took it out.
Nice.
Or like, oh, this is a night I'm bumping into it, but it's also bumping into me. This is bad. I need to leave and retreat and, heal up and then maybe fight some other stuff.
Wasn't that kind of how that one very, very, very indie game that we played was? Remember that one? The super anime one?
Oh.
Which one was this?
We played this game it was a one-off game. It was one episode. And it was like this anime game. I don't remember much about it, even though we really liked it. And the translation was like really bad.
Eternal Senia.
Eternal Senia, yes. That's how that game played. So that game must have been inspired by Ys.
Yeah.
Cool. That sounds like a lot of fun. I will add to the pitch, Ys has amazing music, plus it's the beginning of a very long-running game series. Everybody said that Ys ate something of Lacrimosa. Everyone said that game was phenomenal. So, important part of RPG history. Pitch for Star Tropics, I've only played a little bit of the first one, maybe a couple hours of it, but it's got bright, peppy, fun, goofy, like, kid game NES graphics, and it's also a really good time, and you actually do have, like, a sword and, like, slash things and shit like that. It also does have mixed modes, I believe. It has, like, side-scrolling modes and top-down modes. Like, the dungeon plays differently than, like, the overworld and stuff like that. So it's got that kind of old-school game sort of feel to it. And it's also a lot of fun. So, unfortunately, I don't have a strong pitch for it because we haven't really played it. But, yeah, please vote for one of those 2 games.
Yeah.
Or rather, 2 of those 4 games.
Yes. Half of those games.
Yes, exactly. If you are enjoying what you are hearing, please check us out at rpgbook.club. That has all kinds of links, such as links to our Twitter, links to our email, links to our Discord, where we have a very nice, fun community going on right now. Join our Discord, and you can talk about speedrunning, because GDQ is going on right now, and we love GDQ.
So much.
Yeah, it's so fucking good.
It's been playing in the background this entire time I've been recording.
If you become a patron and donate to not our Patreon, our Ko-Fi, if you become a Ko-Fi and donate to our Ko-Fi, then you can vote on what game we play next, and there's also other nice little bonuses you can get from doing that. And final thing, and in addition to that, if you donate enough, we do bonus episodes, right? Like long cast and short cast and stuff like that. So, yeah, please check out our other episodes, be a member of our community, etc., 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 and join us for the next 3 weeks. We'll be playing the final sort of DLC episode of Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, a Japanese role-playing game. Bye, everybody. I've been Maddie Grace.
I've been Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
Francesco JRPGT Nasso.
Toodaloo,
Take
everybody.
care.
Bye. Love you.
We forgot something really important. Sam has a new baby.
Yeah, not an old baby. Well, he does still have an old baby.
He still has the old baby, who's getting older by the second.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sam's child, Storm. What's the middle name?
Ryder.
Storm.
Yeah.
Fucking Storm Ryder Allman, which is a cool as shit name.
Yeah. So his kids are Scarlet Rose and Storm Ryder.
Yeah, very, very, very cool. Ryder with a Y, obviously. Yeah,
they've got a whole theme naming thing going with the
Storm Ryder was born yesterday, or was it the day before?
Might have been the day before. I can't remember.
Time passes.
I'm a terrible uncle.
Yeah, you know how fucking time passes. I believe Storm Ryder was born yesterday from the day we're currently recording, so Sunday, and relatively early in the morning. And yeah, so Sam is a double dad now, and
he's the dadliest of any of us.
He's way, way, way more dad than any of us. I was about to make a joke about how I can't be a dad, but actually, being a dad is a feeling, so I can still be a dad one day.
Yeah, congratulations, Sam.
I could never hope to live up to his levels of dadliness.
Take care.
Yeah, so congratulations to Sam, and also, of course, congratulations to Summer for doing the hard work of having a baby.
She did 99% of the work.
Yeah. Sam did a really good job on like the 1% of the work that he did, and also just being a great father and a great husband. But
Yes.
mega ultra congratulations to Summer as well. And we wish you all the best, and can't wait to have Sam back in a couple of weeks.
Super happy for you, man. Love you.
All right, cool. Bye for real this time.
Bye.